Good morning. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. Welcome to the launch of Move Over America, a public safety and education partnership between the National Safety Commission, the National Sheriff's Association, and the National Association of Police Organizations. My name is Ken Underwood, and I'm president of the National Safety Commission, America's leader in driver safety education. When our nation's law enforcement officers pull over a motorist, they put their lives at risk. 99% of the time, the driver is just like you or me. But for all the officer knows, the driver could be a fugitive, a drug dealer, or he could be hiding a weapon. The last thing that they need to be worried about is being struck by a bad driver. But unfortunately, that's one of the greatest dangers that they face today. Since 1997, more than 150 law enforcement officers have been struck by vehicles along America's highways. Hardly a week goes by that we don't hear of a law enforcement officer or first responder being hit by a moving vehicle. In fact, just this past Friday in Jacksonville, Florida, a state Florida Highway Patrol trooper was injured, sent to the hospital, and the tow truck operator in front of him was killed by a passing motorist. Our three organizations have established a coalition in order to combat this deadly toll and to educate Americans about a new law aimed at protecting emergency personnel working along our nation's roadways. So far, 40 states have passed move-over laws, most of which have been enacted only in the past few years following a series of tragic and senseless deaths. These important laws require motorists to move over and change lanes to give safe clearance to law enforcement officers on roadsides. If the driver can't change lane, then he's required to slow down below the posted speed limit. If drivers do not move over or slow down, they can be and will be ticketed. As you will see in just a few moments, far too many Americans are unaware of these new laws, and non-compliance is a huge problem. To eliminate ignorance of the law, Move Over America has produced a dramatic public service announcement that will be distributed to broadcast affiliates and cable outlets around the country, calling on drivers to obey state move-over laws. Americans must know that they are required to move over, and if they can't move over, to slow down to keep our state troopers, our deputies, our police officers, and our first responders safe. Now I'm honored and humbled to introduce Mr. Phil Saya, a former career police officer from Fort Lauderdale, whose son Ryan was a true American hero and was tragically killed after he was struck by a motorist after performing a routine traffic stop in Broward County, Florida. Phil.
Thank you, Ken. On February 15, 2006, Broward County Deputy Ryan Say was struck and killed by a motorist as he and his partner made a traffic stop on 595. He was 23 years old, and he was my son. Ryan was the best son a man could ever ask for. He was a good man and an exceptional deputy. He chose law enforcement for a couple of reasons. Mainly, Ryan was a caring and giving person. He would do whatever he could to make someone happy or to improve their life. He also had a gift of courage and showed it at a young age. When Ryan was just a little boy, he jumped into a community pool and saved a drowning baby. When Ryan became a police officer, he also saved a drowning autistic boy from a lake. I believe another reason Ryan wanted to go into law enforcement is when he was a young boy, he would listen to me talk about things that happened at work. He would sit there anxiously and excited and to find out what happened. As he got older, he would ask to ride along with me. He rode with me as often as he could. I was a canine trainer for the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, and Ryan also enjoyed going with me on training nights. He really liked being around the dogs, but mostly enjoyed the camaraderie of the officers, and Ryan wanted to be a part of that. Before I retired and moved to Alpena, Michigan, Ryan told me he wanted to follow in my footsteps and become a canine officer. I decided to donate my services as a reserve canine deputy and work a dog for him. Through cash donations to the Deputy Ryan Say Memorial Fund, we have almost everything we need to start the program except for a vehicle. To raise funds for this, we're hosting a golf tournament in September. Police work is dangerous business, and every law enforcement knows the risk of the job. But deaths like Ryan's could be prevented if people just pay attention and obey the law. That's the real message here. Move over and save a life.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you for your service and the service of your son. Next, I am pleased to introduce Bill Johnson, Executive Director of the National Association of Police Organizations.
Good morning. Thank you, Ken. Unfortunately, too many motorists still do not understand the state move-over laws. This is borne out by a new national poll by Mason-Dixon Polling and Research, commissioned by the National Safety Commission. The key findings of this poll are that an overwhelming 71% of Americans have not heard of move-over laws, only 29% that they have heard of them, which have been implemented in 40 states. Now, for the record, the jurisdictions that presently do not have move-over laws include Connecticut, Hawaii, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nebraska, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New York, and Rhode Island, as well as the District of Columbia. However, once those polled were given a simple description of what the move-over law is, an even more overwhelming 86% supported enacting them in all 50 states. This is because a whopping 90% believe traffic stops and roadside emergencies are dangerous for law enforcement and first responders. I should note that the poll has a margin error of plus or minus 4%. So even though there's a widespread support for the concept of move-over and broad public understanding of the dangers law enforcement and other first responders face on a daily basis on our nation's roads and highways, there's little awareness that move-over is the law in the land in 40 states. Drivers, please help protect the people who are out there protecting you. Follow the common sense law. Even if it's not the law in your state, obey it because it's a common sense rule. Move over away from emergency vehicles stopped on the side of the road. If you cannot move over or are traveling on a two-lane highway, you must slow down. You very well may help save the life of someone who's trying to be out there protecting you. Thank you.
Next, I'm pleased to introduce one of Virginia's own, Sheriff Charles Jett of Stafford County, who is also a member of the Traffic Safety Committee of the National Sheriff's Association.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you, Phil, for your courage in recounting that senseless tragedy of your son and your unwavering commitment to this campaign. As a representative of the National Sheriff's Association, I speak for sheriffs all across this nation in saying that move-over laws are vital to the safety of deputies in the field. As we've heard here today, the stakes are just too high. We must improve compliance with this law. To increase awareness, Move Over America has produced a dramatic public service announcement that will be distributed to broadcast affiliates and cable networks all across this country. And we are very proud to be able to preview that for you now.
Every year, thousands of law enforcement officers are injured or killed by passing vehicles on our nation's roads and highways. These tragedies don't have to happen. Whenever an emergency vehicle has its lights on, move over away from the emergency vehicle. If you can't change lanes because of traffic, or if you're traveling on a two-lane road, slow down at least 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit.
Help protect the officers who protect you. Please move over, and if you can't, then slow down. It's the law.
The Move Over, It's the Law television public service announcement can be viewed online at www.moveoveramerica.com, as can an interactive state-by-state map listing the laws in all 50 states. I'd like to note that the Move Over laws require drivers to move over or slow down for emergency vehicles with their lights flashing. This includes law enforcement vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, and in some cases, tow trucks. I urge every American to visit moveoveramerica.com and check their particular state's law. Our nation's law enforcement professionals put their lives on the line each and every day to protect our citizens. Slowing down and changing lanes to give our first responders the space they need to be safe is the least we can do in return. It's what we must do. Move over, America. It's the law.